here. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. All right. We are streaming to YouTube.
Cool.
Now recording.
Welcome to the Yanggang Roundtable. It is Saturday, October 24th, 2020. I have with me here both Fays, Mia Songbird, John Lamble. Hello, our guest today, and Ariel. So it's good to see all of you here. If you're just joining us for the first time, we're a basic income advocacy podcast, and we talk about the amazing news cycle of 2020 with an eye towards basic income. We try to also have political discussions that bridge communication gaps between different facets and ideologies within the basic income advocacy community. So that's my whole preamble. And with that out of the way, I'd like to welcome you to please introduce yourself and start talking about whatever you would like to talk about.
So do you want to introduce John to us?
Yeah. Okay, so John, this is his first time really doing
Yes, all right. I guess that's right. So Faye, I didn't say both of them. Faye Koo and Faye Doney, who are on camera together. So Faye Doney, John, this is your former husband, if I'm not mistaken. All right. Well, thank you for having him on the show. Thank you for bringing him on.
John and I, we also went to high school together, but we didn't date in high school. But like we've just been friends our whole lives.
Nice.
We had a small break in our friendship, but that's it. Yeah. So John, do you want me to introduce you a little bit, or you could like tell about your life?
I don't mind introducing myself.
Okay, there you go.
All right. Hi, my name is John Lamble. I live in Vancouver, Washington. I work in downtown Portland, though, just across the river, as a shift lead for security for the World Trade Center in downtown Portland. I have been doing that for like the last 7 years with about a 6-month break in between. But I went back for financial reasons. And yeah, I'm part of the Yakima Nation up here in Washington State, enrolled Yakima on my mom's side. And that's pretty much it.
He's been receiving stimulus checks from his tribe.
Very nice.
Oh, cool.
So
yeah, I wanted to bring that up.
And I think that's very
important.
Interesting. Yeah, that's it's a very understudied area in like UBI advocacy because there are several routes through which a sort of reparation-like income has come to different Native American peoples in America, and so that is great for you. What is the source of your tribe's income?
Primarily land and casinos. The one casino they have, actually. From what I was told, their stimulus they had to actually label as a grant instead, and they only had it they only gave us 3 installments of it. We actually just got our most recent and last one this month.
Oh man, see, I thought you had like an ongoing set for life thing. I was so happy for you for a second, but it's great for even a little while.
Yeah,
It
helped out
Americans.
Yeah,
sadly, but I mean the one I got back in August actually helped me out with my trip to go down to California, actually, to get away from up here when the protests and stuff were going on.
So. Right outside where he works, by the way. He was watching it in the security camera footage, that he has to monitor.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So you're talking about the George Floyd protests, right?
Correct, yeah. It's been going on... Oh, sorry?
Well, prior to the George Floyd protests, I'm sure you've witnessed many other protests, such as Occupy Wall Street or something, or other events like that.
Oh yeah, we've had Occupy Wall Street. We've had May Day protests on the 1st of May. The last one I did before I left my 6 months for 6 months was actually right after the last election when Trump was elected. That protest and that riot was just
more about that one.
whew, like very overwhelming when it came to being like, oh, it's my last day at work. This is what's going on outside. So
what was the one that I had to get you from your job? Remember that day? What one?
ooh, that one that one never leaves my thought. I think that might have been that one, actually.
That's what I thought.
That one, the one she's talking about was I actually got off work and actually I used to take our Max line, our railway line, to go meet her at a different location. But while I was waiting for my Max line, there were Portland police going around the block, the section I was in. They were clearing out block by block, and they actually shut down the railway lines. But because I had my headphones in, I didn't notice them until they actually got close enough that I had to pull my headphone out, and they were just displaying or shouting out that I had to clear the way, or they were going to either arrest you or use non-lethal force to move you. So I actually got up, left, and I informed Faye about it.
Wow.
And during that time frame, I walked one block down. There's more Portland riot police at that intersection. I had a bottle thrown at me, and then from a restaurant on top of one of the buildings, I had something like food or something dropped onto me. Like it landed directly on my shoulder. And they closed down all the bridges aside from the one that's actually right next to my job. That Faye actually had to drive all the way down to that one, loop around, and then come and get me from that.
I extracted him.
Wow.
Really? That's what it turned into. It was bad. And like I've always been nervous when he works at the World Trade Center because like one, he's security, right? So don't you change like pretty much every time to get out of your clothes? So you don't walk around in your security. Yeah, he doesn't feel right. I'm just putting words in your mouth. You could tell.
No, well, it was initially I didn't. It became. I got to the point where I wouldn't wear our actual security uniforms because they say they have our security company name and logo on them. Yeah. So I've been buying my own just general white shirts to wear. So even if I have to wear it out or in the street or anything, I don't look like I'm security. I look like I'm just like I work in an office.
Yeah.
But it's still one of those alarming things. I've had officers that have come onto my site or come onto the site I work at that have told me experiences that they've had of coworkers from past sites that have gotten jumped by people because they're wearing a security uniform, or people that have been assaulted on like Max lines and stuff like that. And as Faye pointed out, it's like she's not the only one that has worried about, at least myself when I go out. I have roommates that I've told about, especially with the several months of the protests going on in Portland now. Because they started out after the George Floyd situation started, is when the protests began, and then the first 2 or 3 weeks were just riots. And and the job I'm at right now is actually 2 blocks away from the Justice Center, where they actually have it fenced off with concrete and metal barriers now.
Ugh.
How does that affect you even when things like aren't actively protesting, like having all of that, like going to work every day after having that experience? Even when things are calm, I imagine that's still got to be hard to like bring yourself to a place where you've experienced that kind of stress.
It's something I haven't admitted. I admitted to a number of people, but because of that and experiences I've had around shootings around the Portland, Vancouver area, I've actually sadly developed PTSD from it.
There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a normal human response, so, you know.
Yeah.
Well, we were downtown Portland when there was a shooting, and like we watched this woman get pushed down and like screaming and stuff, and like then gunfire. But like the last bus for the night had just pulled up, so we hopped on it as quickly as we could, and the adrenaline response was like I ducked down and John just stood there. So I was kind of like the flight and he was the freeze, And so it was just like, but that was not the only shooting we had been around.
I've never had a gun fired near me that I didn't fire myself, and I very rarely have fired a gun myself. Just a couple times, maybe twice. I've had a friend who shoots take me out for a little shooting, and I've shot maybe 4 times that I've pulled the trigger, like 2 times on a pistol and 2 times in a big rifle, and the sound of a gun is just so colossally loud, so much louder than anyone imagines when it's not happening. So,
it makes your ears ring.
Yes, it's very likely to damage your ears permanently,
Yeah.
potentially. It's a terrifying technology that, it's too easy to take for granted, especially when it's in all of our media, So real contact with a real gun in a real life or death situation will leave you changed, and I don't think that's wrong or a sign that there's anything wrong with the person it happens to. It's just what happens to people who meet that kind of trauma. Even if you come away physically whole, it's traumatic and it changes you.
We were also outside of a bar in Vancouver, Washington, where there was a gang-related shooting, right? And like that's the one that really shook me up, right? But like after that, I went back to work, and a friend of mine would always just like hide behind shelves and scare each other, like because why wouldn't you have fun while you're working? And just like that was kind of our dynamic, and I actually had to ask her to stop because it was triggering my PTSD from that. And she had some real trauma when she was a kid, right? And she almost was like, shaming is a hard word, but like making like I've been through worse. This is nothing, kind of like just minimizing it, and it really messed with me, right? But I was like, you need to stop. It's triggering me, and like she was mad that I asked her to stop, right? I'm not minimizing what happened to her, but she had more time to process it. I was very fresh, right? And so it's stuff like that you have to be a little more sensitive about.
And you're just different. I mean, each person gets to, have their own experience of things and have their own needs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, so far, everyone I've talked to about it, the first person I actually talked to and actually came into contact or realized I had it was actually Faye when she was up here. And since then, I've told coworkers and I've told my parents about what happened. And the thing that triggered it actually was when she was up here, she was watching I believe it was like the Jeffrey Epstein special or the limited series on Netflix. But I happened to be watching 13 Reasons Why. And there's an episode on there where they were simulating a school shooting. And, oh man. But one of the triggers was that the gunshots just kind of just spur of the moment just happened. So it'd be conversation, and then just the next thing you hear is just.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which actually is kind of a coincidence because we're gonna have Aaron Stark tomorrow, actually, right? And he was actually thinking about being a shooter, but what stopped him is just like a friend just coming by and talking to him in a way, like not like he was like a patient, but in a way that actually cared, like, hey, how are you? What's up? You want to go with a movie with me together? And I think like we put ourselves all at a disservice when we like ignore all these people like going through a hard time, or maybe they can't make ends meet, or maybe they're under a lot of like stress and trauma, and our society either ignores them or worse, berates them. And I think like if we saw like a movie like The Joker, have any of you seen Joker here?
Yep.
Yeah. So you watch a movie like Joker and you say like, this guy easily could become a shooter. Now not like he but like the killings that Joker did weren't like random acts of violence. I think each person he killed in that movie had a direct cause of his pain and his suffering. for like the people who beat him on the subway, the coworker who like lied about him and got him fired, and just almost every one of them, like his mom let him be beaten. Murray like berated him and showed his thing and just wanted to make fun of him. So all those deaths like had a motive. It was kind of like a revenge thing. But it's like, but we have people who just like in real life, not in a movie, who just like kill just because they're going through so much like agony or pain, or like no one's understanding them. So I think when Yang talked about like these indicators for like mental health and happiness, that's so much more important than GDP.
The American scorecard, right?
Right, exactly. And so we say, oh, why should I care about a person like going through stress, or like who's in pain, or like can't afford things, or it's thinking, oh, it's a free country and like I only care about myself. But then when they like snap, and like we see these things on the news of like innocent people getting killed, it's like, that's why you should care.
Yeah.
I was playing Among Us last night. Couldn't sleep. And I ended up finding a Twitch live stream and where they didn't block the room code, and it was totally a private room, right?
Yeah.
And I jumped in, and my name on there is Andrew Yang. Okay, so I'm just whatever, subliminal messaging, And when I got on there, the reaction was, Andrew Yang, they were so excited, right? They were so excited. It was beautiful, and they were like, Yang Yang. Okay, well,
Nice.
but they didn't know I could hear them, right? They're just like, also, of course they like thought I was the imposter, and technically I was an imposter, right? In reality.
Yeah.
But then I repeated the experiment, and that time they're like, who the fuck is Andrew Yang, right? Blah, 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 right? They're mad about who I am because I've just entered this chat, And so, like, they instantly kill me, right? Because they didn't know how to boot me. They just, like, everyone voted in, like, as quickly as possible. And then, so, like, now I'm dead in the chat, and some other people have finally died. They're like, who the fuck are you, right? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I was watching a Twitch stream. I saw the thing. I wasn't trying to, like, upset you, but I can leave after this. And they're like, but I said sorry, right? And so what was interesting is then they're like, I did log out, and I was still listening to the Twitch to kind of like get some. If you do that, can you do that in the other room? Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
But essentially, I was like lost train of thought. I left, but I was listening, right, to the Twitch. They're like, if you're still listening, Andrew Yang, come back. I'd be by now, right? And so they invited me, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, join our Discord. I'm like, here I am, and somehow now I'm part of the Discord chat, right?
Yeah.
And so they've invited me.
Yeah.
But I said sorry, and I said, like, I'll leave, and then they got the choice to consent to have me there, right? And so that's with any social group, because these people knew each other somehow. I don't know how they know each other. I just found a random Twitch. I wasn't watching them before. And so they allowed an opportunity for this imposter. But there's a lot of psychology behind this game Among Us, because somebody has told us there's an imposter, right? But like, if you played this game in a setting with a teacher, and the teacher's like, okay, I'm going to tell you guys there's 2 imposters, right? And then maybe they don't tell anyone they're the imposter, right? And they're all looking around like somebody's lying. No, you guys just fabricate in your head all these reasons why this person's an imposter, but nobody is one, right? And so now, like, that's what we've done, like, but in the game, you can eject people, even if they're your crewmate, right?
That's
because
funny.
they're talking amongst each other. I'm going to kick this person out, right? Cancel culture. That's exactly cancel culture. I'm suspicious of this person. Let's get rid of them. Okay. Well,
I think
that's going to kill you in the game. Like
that's
what did you say? I'm sorry.
is that more people need exposure to good people and good ideas, because we've had the opposite happening for so many years on end, because bad people and bad ideas hyperpolarize people, but good people and good ideas just people just want to be around that, but they're not loud enough. And it's funny you mentioned that, Faye, because there's this guy on YouTube. His name is CoffeeZilla, and he exposes fake gurus and scammers and stuff. So he does a live stream where he goes on his Discord and he invites people in to like talk. And then I put my name as Yanggang, and then Amishu's his friend. He's like, "Oh look, Yanggang." Look there. And then they might, and then I talked about UBI with him and Amish. I actually have the video. I can link it out here. I put it up. I don't know if any of you ever saw that. I recorded the entire thing.
Oh, very nice. So you shared it on your aerials?
No, that's just for drone
Revolutionary
stuff.
Thinking?
I said for revolutionary thinking is for like regular conversations and stuff. Ariel's is just for drone footage.
Okay. So yeah, we need to check that out on Revolutionary Thinking. It's your
Yeah, because this is because we got to get out of our echo chambers. You know, we really got to do that, and nothing's
Into
gonna
the
ever.
gaming chambers.
Yeah,
That's where
yeah.
they're hiding, guys. They're
Yeah,
all
get
online playing
get
games.
into like gaming, gaming chambers, and like all sorts of different chambers. Like maybe I mean, I made friends with this pilot. His name was like Vince. Remember that, Faye, when like I told you about the helicopter that I just like randomly went to?
Right? Yeah, that was very
he,
random.
he was back like 3 days ago, and I did the same thing. You know, when we were having that conversation with Moodit, I didn't know if you saw me, but I turned my video on and the helicopter was like right behind my head. It was like right there. I put it on my Instagram page. So maybe if we get like a like him, if I talk, I'm making friends with him. If I talk about like UBI and Yang and like all of that stuff, but for first, I'm gonna put the should I put the video of that thing that I did in the live stream chat or in the social chat?
Sure. Under live stream chat, do you know how to
Yeah.
make a topic? So just
There's-
type ! Topic, right? And go ahead and put whatever topic, and you can put a bullet point and put your link. there.
I'll just put topic. I'll say something and I'll just link the video. All right.
Watch. We'll do a help, and it will show you all the commands.
Okay.
So after topics are bullets below the topic.
So you gotta
can do
write-
a whole outline.
You have to do both. Press topic and then bullet. So, but yeah.
Well, I mean, the interesting thing is, you guys, I invite all of you to join if you're on Facebook. Get into the group Gamers for Basic Income.
I
And
just added myself to that.
yeah,
Nice.
everybody who likes to Twitch and stream and play games and watch people play games, go there and join up together, and we'll continue spreading the message, evangelizing on gaming platforms everywhere.
I like it. 'Cause- okay, so just think about this though. You're exposed to this name, and it saves in the back of your mind, especially if you like, I don't know, infiltrated a like group of people, right? And so now they're constantly saying my name, Andrew Yang, on the game, right? And then like once I entered the Discord chat, like they're like, "Wait, you're a girl?" I'm like, "Hi."
That's hilarious.
Their minds were like, "Wait, you're a he, she?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, kind of. Like the name is, you know." But I was just messing with their heads, right? But now maybe, in 4 years when Andrew Yang's running again for president, they're like, "Oh, that name, Andrew Yang, where did that from?" And it might have just been from the game Imposter, but it's still,
Well, not only is it name recognition, but you can take that next step if you're socializing and actually tell them a little bit about universal basic income and how it connects to the stimulus check and cash for the people. So that's still working for us too. Everywhere we drive, we're getting people still asking us about what that means.
Oh God, if David Kim wins, that'll be such a. I think no, it's an eventuality. Like, look at all the Humanity First endorsed candidates that are running. There's like 50 of them in like every state. It's like there's at least one humanity first candidate for like each state that's like running, or maybe like 6 or 7 states don't have them, maybe 10 tops. But I'm just seeing them come out like clockwork, and I just think that's awesome. We get one in there. Yeah.
And reminder to vote down ballot, because in order for them to have any power, we do need a democratically run system straight down the board.
Right, yeah. The Republicans, it's over with them. Like I'm just so sick. Just like at least like people thought that Trump was gonna become this like populist, but he's lost that populism streak, and that's why nobody gives a shit about him anymore. Because like he used to say like, oh, regular politics are like stupid, and like people are being screwed, and we don't want to like play this game anymore. But he's just been like assimilated into the Borg, and it's pretty pathetic.
What's interesting is that if we were to actually have a populist president, he would need to have the characteristics Trump initially got in by pretending to have and still pretends to have, sort of toughness, a willingness to be abrasive and uncompromising and audacious. But that has to come from a good place, and it does not in him. So he doesn't really.
Yeah.
He doesn't even actually have any like fortitude. He's not actually stood up to any real, career or personal losses or anything, and taken it gracefully. But people pretend or think he does.
Well, and then he kept saying like, oh yeah, like I want to send another check. And I want an even bigger one than even the Democrats want. And it's like, okay, dude, like you're all bluster. Like that's pathetic, because like you think he'd be like pressuring Mitch McConnell and stuff.
I think there's some truth to the fact that Nancy Pelosi does not want to check at all until the election has already, transpired.
Yeah, that's true.
So but from that perspective, it was actually true that he wants a bigger stimulus than Nancy Pelosi at this point in time.
But then why would he say 1,200 again? Why wouldn't he say 2,000?
I don't know.
Like,
he improvs. Like, he pulls numbers out of the hat when he gets going. He turns on. Have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons? The barbarian class. Once they start raging, they just rage. That's Donald Trump. He's a political barbarian.
But
there you go.
They all suck. Like Nancy Pelosi too. So hoping like Shahid gets in, because I'm thinking that like these establishment Democrats are just as bad as Trump is collectively. They're all just as bad as each other, and we just need like a system reboot from the ground up. Like our system 32 is like screwed. So like it's right there.
We should really be moving to at least a 64-bit architecture, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
We basically need to wedge in a few policies that will enable us to actually make any reforms, like ranked choice voting, democracy dollars, and UBI all empower people to be able to affect their own democracy, as opposed to having to rely on our politicians to do it
on idiots. Yeah. Like that's it, because the more dependent you are, the more screwed you are. I mean, if you grew up as like a child of like a bad divorce, the story. It's all triangulation. And that's what the people have become to these idiots. We're just things to be triangulated with.
So you're saying it's just like mommy blaming daddy and vice versa?
Yeah, and the other way around. Yeah, the other way around. It's just
that's yeah. I see your point.
That's all it is. Like, don't hate me, hate them.
Right,
no, don't hate us, hate them. Here are the reasons why you should hate them and get angry at them. And then the other side goes, no, here are the reasons you should hate them and get angry at them. And it's just like, okay, like you're not like valued as a citizen of this country. You're just used as a thing to be as a pawn to be triangulated to like hurt the other party. It's like your life doesn't mean anything, but as long as we can use you for triangulation purposes, then, that's your worth as a citizen. It's like, you pieces of shit, go blow to your house.
When you say triangulation, could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. So basically triangulation is this. It's like you have something against someone, but you never go to that person to like tell them how you feel. So you get a third party involved. and like whisper in their ear and say this about them, and these people are bad and this is what they're doing, and then go and like attack. It's like you're not going to fight someone, but you have a dog and you're like telling that dog, okay, sick him boy, get him. And then it's like that's basically it. It's like you're using a third party with these whispers in their ear to like go after someone else. And that's what our jersey wearing politics has become. The Democrats are basically whispering in their base's ear to hate the Republicans, and the Republicans are doing the same to their base, and nothing gets accomplished, and they just go and it's disgusting.
But that happens every time someone name calls too. If you're calling them these, idiots or these morons, or like you're almost doing the same.
But I'm not going after like specific Republicans and Democrats or any of those people. I'm just saying it as the system as a whole, because after you've like been used like this, you're not going to be too happy about it, and it's like they got to stop. That's it.
Well, we have to make them. They have no incentive to stop, is the unfortunate part. So we have to disincentivize their continuing.
Right. It's like either get something accomplished or we don't care.
Sometimes
because of the way the system is built, because of the rules that are set up around us, and because everybody is currently complicit with society as is, the only way to do that is to get candidates that you do trust, that you do believe in, across that finish line. Just as a note, you can't, like, individually, we can't affect those policies, at least not directly, without spontaneously coming together in a larger display than I've seen anybody willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true. But like the using people as pawns is a thing that kind of like bothers me. And there's another word for it, flying monkeys. Like in the Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch had the flying monkeys, so she wouldn't like harass people like herself. She'd just like outsource the harassment to others, and that's what narcissists do. They outsource their harassment and their bile by like triangulation.
So, John, you've been quiet.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on everything we've been talking about? I know you're processing. I just want to hear your opinion.
Well, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, them pushing everything back, especially because I consistently look up updates on especially a stimulus. But then just getting all the consistent updates of we're getting one this month, it's pushed back. We're getting one this month, it's pushed back, and then the last one of course hearing, oh, it's getting pushed back until the election is actually situated. Not just frustrated me, but everyone I've talked to that has either gotten their last one or hasn't gotten their last one. Like one of my roommates, I think, has gotten his last one. We were just frustrated. I mean, and like he was saying, is like I'm getting tired of having to hear one side said this, and then oh well, now we're going to use someone else to kind of say the same thing, but like word it differently. It's just like, well, tell us something outright rather than actually just adding all these glamorous words to something that somebody already said. So it's just like, all right, well, just outright people what is going on rather than just again just saying the same thing over and over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It starts to feel like malicious for a while, the back and forth, the kind of fake outs where they seem to be like, yes, we absolutely want to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to get it done. And then they pull back the curtain and you sit there going, well, I was thinking about what I was going to do to fix the situations I'm in when this finally got through. And you're like, well, how am I going to make this work?
Yeah.
I'm going to do this another 14 days more than I was planning to do it for. Another 2 months more than I was planning to do it for. Another 3 months. 6 months.
this is exactly how I felt when I was growing up, when I was little. It was just like blaming, and whenever it came to real help, I had nothing but like, oh, get angry at someone. It's like, well, that's not going to help me. It it's terrible. I mean, but at least if people, if we're exhausted of it enough, and we don't play this game, and we're just done, then I think something good's going to come out of that, because they'll know that they're blaming, and they're, these kinds of, things are not going to have an effect. They're like, people aren't going to vote for them just because they're creating theater. That's good.
Well, okay, let's just bring up this Among Us game one more time, all right? Like, this is a great analogy for out of like politics. Maybe you have a full room of 10 people, right? And then you have people running their election. And you got a couple bad apples, right? They don't have the best intentions for everyone. Maybe you got your corporations, if you will, right? And you got 8 other people that are working on tasks to accomplish the goal of saving everybody, right? But then you have this imposter coming in and just sabotaging things. And then when it comes time to vote off the island, if you will, you have this like deliberation of like, primaries and the election and vote for me. But it's like the opposite, right? Like it's that person. And we're redirecting this hate towards all these people. And we're just like not getting our task done, right? Because like we're still worried about like being murdered in the game. And so like by the time you're done, you might only have 2 people left in the room, one's an imposter and one isn't, right? But by then, guess who wins? The imposter. But if you have more that crewmates, you could technically get both imposters with nobody dying, right? Like but it's because we're not observant, we're not careful, we're not picking up signs. All of us, like we need to work together to talk about this so that we can actually resolve the situation while still getting our tasks done.
Yeah. Pay attention to the signal, not the noise. Because if anything's just there to deliberately distract you or fill you up with like rage or spite, you should have alarm bells going off, or an early warning system that's like, okay, no, it's my choice to give something my attention. And this thing that's just trying to piss me off and make me mad and not to actually think, I'm not going to give my attention.
But the thing is, too, people like see the wrong thing. They like, oh, I think I saw that person vent, right? I think I saw them try to get away, right? And then that person was just a crewmate. This is somebody who is innocent.
Well, no, I'm talking about like what the saboteurs try to do. Like they try to like get you pissed off and riled up. If there's someone like pissed off for a legitimate reason, yeah, listen to them and like try to see what's up. But if there's just somebody who wants to make you angry at everyone, and they have like their corporation or they're a politician, it's like they really don't care about me. They're just trying to rile me up so they can like get more money out of me or like attack this other person, but they don't care about my well-being. And that's when you're getting somewhere. Yeah, and once we get that, we can just kind of like tell. I mean, that's what Andrew Yang was doing. I mean, that's what we were all about. It's like, hey, hang on a second. After you get through all the shouting and yelling and the anger and all that stuff, let's just like calm down and say like, okay, what are we really not happy about? It's not Democrat or Republican. It's like, why are we like so poor when we're the richest country on earth?
Exactly.
Like, why? Like isn't that like, whether you come from a rural place or in the city? I think we can all kind of like agree on that. And then once we solve that main problem, then we can talk about like abortion and gun rights and that. But number one priority, why are we so anxious and stressed out? That's and that causes this hyperpolarization when people are always stressed about where there's money coming from.
Well, Well, think about it though. We can add value. Value is not money though, right? Like I can be doing amazing things for somebody else that makes their life a ton easier, but they can't afford to pay me. There's still that transaction of value being like exchanged. It's just I'm not getting currency out of it. I'm getting fulfillment emotionally, right? And so, but the thing
Yeah.
is, we cannot walk away from money because that's what we're so like glued to. And then what? We're gonna stop doing things that add value because like the only people who can afford my time are these like not well-intentioned individuals that want to harm my environment. I'm not going to be consenting to that. But then you also have to think about people's money and their attachment to it and wanting it to spend it how they want to spend it. So you think about like, let's just take abortion. Okay. I had a friend who was like, I think people should be allowed to have abortions. There are certain circumstances and situations where I believe that is, but that should also just be on the person individually, right? But they're like, well, I don't want to put my tax dollars though towards an abortion because I don't believe in it. But they're just going to take my tax money and just put it towards that, and so I'm going to vote no because it's my money you're talking about, right? And that goes against my value system. And like they're a good friend of mine, and so I respect their decision, and I understand like they believe in autonomy and like making decisions. They just don't want to put their money there, right? Like I don't want to consent with my cash, but I do consent for you to make that decision. But we have that so hard boiled into our laws. Instead of having organizations where they're like not forced to take, everybody's money to put it towards something, only a select few that consent to spending their money on it, right? But if nobody has money that wants to consent to it, then you can't make that a thing, right?
Right.
Because people are like, no. So we need to have our own money to decide where we want to put it, because maybe we had a sibling or somebody else who needed that service because they got raped, right? And so we want that to be available to them, and we can pay it for our money, or maybe we find ourselves in that situation. But like, if you don't acknowledge that, like, we're making it really hard for people to consent to things with their own money, you're almost missing a certain point that's probably very vital.
Well, it's also the source of the money. It's like, what? Why is it that the only way a person can produce the money is by like working for a large corporation or scamming people? So we have to say like, why do we have to like toe the line of these people? Like, if because with this UBI, then people can create their own economy unattached to the incentives of like large corporations and people who are already rich. So we don't have to be a sycophant to someone who already has a lot of money just so we can have money ourselves. you know and if you have to be a sycophant for a rich guy, that's not freedom.
What is
That
a
is not.
sycophant? I don't know this word.
A sycophant is like Trump surrounds himself with sycophants. It's like people who are gonna agree with you no matter what. Like yes men. So
Okay.
the thing is like, you have to be a yes man for all these people who are the sources of money, or else you get cut off. But that's not freedom. That's enslavement through finances.
I had a friend, like, never mind. I forget the story. I'm so sorry. I just drew a blank. Never mind, guys. Continue. I'm not going to remember
It's
it.
interesting how people are confident in having that stance. Now, my tax dollar shouldn't go for a thing that I find objectionable with abortion. But what if you don't like primary school? I mean, I'm only half joking because I think an educated populace is a good thing, but the way we conduct our public schools is not really great. So what if I said, yeah, I think everybody should be like homeschooling. I don't want to pay for schools. no one would really think that's reasonable. No one would treat that like if I said, "Nah, I don't want to pay for anyone's abortions." That's not reasonable, you know? There's no parity between issues.
Everyone talks about, oh, tax dollars this and tax dollars that, but what about the ways like we earn money? What just gives some of these like places the right to say the only way that you can produce money is to work for someone else? It's like, and then you don't have to work for someone else. You can just start your own.
It boils down to interest. We
Yeah.
live on a society based on loans where we just make up this number of money, right? And then you have this interest, whatever percent, that does not exist, that everybody's chasing. We have to get it from someone else.
And then what they tell you is like, oh no, you don't have to work for someone else. You can invest or you can start your own business. But if you started from zero, you can't invest because first you'd have to work for someone to earn that money first, then you can invest it or start your own business. So they're full of crap. It's like,
and then that comes into the nonprofit territory. But the interesting thing about nonprofits is they have so many more regulations and people watching that money than an actual corporation that is making money and like, maybe not doing good things.
They're cheated.
The hounding of those numbers is ridiculous, right? Like, I'm going to give you this money, but you better spend it how I want, and if you don't, I'm going to pull out, which makes sense, except for like to some capacity, maybe, but just how we fight for UBI, where it's basic income, where there's no strings attached, you might have more freedom. Let's see, was it Henry Ford? One of the guys who made a car, right? Essentially, he wanted to do it his way, but all the people who invested money in him wanted to interfere with everything and or push for this personal agenda. And time again, he failed to live up to their expectations. Eventually, he had a sponsor that says, here's the money, do what you want, I'll stay out, right? Because that was his conditions if he was going to do it. And he finally broke through because he didn't have this meddling of it's got to be this way, because he knows better, because he's an expert in that field, right?
I mean,
because you have money does not mean you understand.
I mean that's the thing. This paternalism that has got to end, because this is not freedom. This is bullshit. The invasive paternalism of bothering people who are already struggling in the first place and putting rules on. I mean this is just oppression. This is just downright oppression disguised as doing the right thing and saving people from themselves. They can paint it however the hell they want. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So John, what was the thing? So how do the installments of the tribes kind of universal basic income work?
I'd have to look it up again. There was a paperwork they sent out months ago when the first one came out, and since they said it was from what I was told, it was based their grants, but I believe it's from tribal land, and which wouldn't actually surprise me because a few years ago, I believe they sold, or at least had the government use some of the tribal land, which actually gave everyone in the tribe a check for $17,000. And for Faye and I, when we first got together, that helped us out immensely, because at that point we were staying with my brother and sister-in-law, and we were jumping from place to place, sleeping on couches, spare rooms, and at that point I think we were just sleeping on an air mattress in their living room for 3 months. We didn't have a car or anything, so I'd have my brother drive me into Portland, pick me up, bring me back into Vancouver.
I also had recently been hit by a car.
That too, actually. So, but that one helped us out to the point where we actually were able to. We bought a car. We were able to get our own place. We paid we used the money for furniture. We were able to furnish our apartment. We were able to like buy like stuff
So
to
hang
entertain
on,
ourselves.
You're telling me you didn't become a lazy drug addict who just drank all day, did all that stuff, and like never wanted to
Correct.
work?
No, during that
there
whole
you
time,
have it.
I was still working. I mean, we were both working,
Right.
so it was
So
just
you didn't
I
just
wasn't
quit your
working
job.
much. No, I wasn't actually working at that time because I was suffering from really like a lot of pain. I was on my bicycle. Woman ran a red light. I slammed into the side of her vehicle. I really hurt my tailbone and my shoulder, and so like I was just essentially bedridden for a little bit.
Did you at least sue her?
Did I at least what?
No, I mean like get some compensation from her. Did she have insurance?
No, so we were technically both at fault, and insurance is like, haha, we're done. You both get screwed.
What the hell?
Yeah, I got nothing.
Scumbags.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. I'd sue the
Yeah.
insurance.
Yeah, because of that, when that happened, actually, I was at work, and I actually ended up leaving work like 2 hours in, just to go back and actually see her at the hospital and everything. So,
They wouldn't even tell him what happened, just that I got hit by a car.
I was freaking out too. So,
Wow.
because I got the news from the girl that we were staying with, and then at one of our buildings is our main desk, and I wasn't allowed to leave. But the other two workers were like talking and everything, so I'm like pacing back and forth. After hearing this, I'm just like, "When's she gonna get back over here? When's she gonna get back over here?" And then when they both came over, I was like, "Hey, just FYI, my wife just got hit by a car, and I'm waiting for you guys to come back over here to kind of see what I need to do." They're like, "Why didn't you tell us? Why don't you?" It's like, if you would have called us, we would have told you to leave. So I was like, "All right, I'm leaving." So I went downstairs, changed, and immediately got on the Max and then took off. So
They found me in the pediatric section though, because I was like brought there on a stretcher, right? And like there was no room for me to go, but they're like, I guess we're gonna put you in kids ward. I'm like, well, I'm a giant kid, so this works.
it was a confusing thing because someone directed was like, "Oh yeah, she's in pediatrics." I was like, "Why?" It's like, all right, but sorry, but going back to what we were talking about the checks, the grants, and everything is
Oh, you're good. Yeah.
like I said, with that 17,000 we got a few years back, it helped us out. You're saying it's like, yeah, it's I continued working. I mean, for us, that was just kind of an expendable income that we had to actually like, oh, we need to do some like work on our car, so we would go take it in somewhere, get some work on it. Oh, by the way, we need this for our apartment. Let's go buy that then.
Yeah.
And then we used our actual incomes and stuff for like bills and stuff like that.
Well, John actually gets a monthly check from the tribe as well, but it's very small. Wait, I can't hear you, John. You're muted or something. Try again. What'd you say?
Oh,
John, I can't hear you.
Yeah, John, John's mic is off.
John, we can't hear you. Nope.
You could jump in and out. I don't know.
Maybe leave and come back, John. We can't hear you.
Yeah, try leaving and coming back. I don't know why you're not. Yeah, you're not server muted or anything. You're max volume on the server.
Oh, now his mic is off. Put your mic back.
Oh, yeah. Did you mute and unmute your own mic? Might be a hardware problem. Are you?
No, we can't.
Is your thumb over your microphone?
No.
No. I don't know. Sometimes it's that. All right.
That's strange.
Leave, John. Come back.
Yeah, try leaving and coming back. Sorry about that.
Reload Discord.
No, you're back now.
Oh,
you're back.
you're
back. You're back.
Oh, no, he's gone again.
No, I think he's still there. John, talk. Oh, now he left.
I thought he was back.
Well, that was confusing.
So he gets like I want to say it's like $100-something a month every month from his tribe, and like that's all of the money he had when we first started dating. Like it wasn't a lot. We barely made it.
That's more than some.
Yeah, and sometimes that was all we lived off of, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we lived pretty minimally.
Yeah.
So this is before the World Trade
I mean,
Center
many simply
situation,
cannot
or
afford to
after?
date. You know, it's a foregone conclusion. Many people are like, dating? No, absolutely not. No money for that. You know, so.
All right.
Oh, can you hear me now?
We
Yeah,
can hear you, but not see you now.
well, that's fine.
What the hell's going on? I'm not sure what is going on with this. I didn't touch a thing when I was on this.
But now we can hear you at least. How much is your check a month?
Well, sadly, it used to be $122, like $122 per month. But they actually, starting this month, it's actually being reduced down to $86, and it's going to be every other month now.
Why?
What the hell? Ugh.
I believe it's like not much business or anything going on actually up in the tribal area.
Sucks.
Well, that makes
Considering
sense.
all of COVID and everything, so.
So because the economy is failing, you guys are going to have to struggle more.
I mean, so I'd have to reread, or because I get a newsletter from the tribe every so often. Supposedly every month, but I get one every like a random assortment or random time where it's like, oh, there's a note from the tribe. I'd have to locate that again because there's actually a definitive thing on it that says why we're supposed to be getting it a smaller amount now.
So, you should talk about your like family being also other security type people, if you will. Would you like to talk about that?
Let's say other security type as like both. Well, I would say security type, but it's
You know what I'm trying to say.
yeah. Well, my my oldest brother is a tribal police officer with the Yakima Nation, so he's actually up in the Yakima Nation with his fiance and their son. He works actually alongside my uncle and his son, my cousin, who are corrections officers up in Toppenish, Washington. And then my dad and my mom actually just retired. My dad retired as a Columbia River Intertribal Fishery Enforcement Officer last December, actually. He worked there about as long as I've been alive, so he's been there for about 32 years, a little longer than I have been alive, but and my mom was actually a dispatcher in that same office for about 30 years, so she just retired a few months back. I believe back in I think like April or May. But because of them, they've actually been so they're still in contact with the people that they work with, and they keep kind of like elbowing me and like, hey, they're hiring. You should go like work for them, because for me growing up, their office was my second home. Because anytime I was picked up from school and they had to go to the office, I'd end up riding with them. I'd end up staying in their office. I'd spend a lot of time there. So, like, for my siblings and I, that was our second home away from home.
So what are they saying about the times now, based on, you know, their experiences and stuff? Like, what have you heard any stories?
From not really much from my parents. It's primarily from like my older brother, who upstate, is that he's a huge talker. So we always end up hearing stuff about like, oh yeah, I went out and went out pull a drunk driver and he tried to get confrontational. So he went at me and I had to grab him and like toss him to the ground and I handcuffed him, and it's just like hearing all this stuff. And I'm not sure if it's getting worse up there, but I know that's also at least a few months back was their heavy red zone for COVID. And him and his wife have always been telling me, it's like, oh, you should come up and visit us. And because of that reasoning of like, oh, you're in the hot zone though, I'm a little skeptical of heading up there. I mean, I love my family to death, but
He loves his family. Like they're very close. It's a beautiful thing.
Kind of like Middle Easterners or like Asians and stuff.
Well, see, tribes kind of have these different rituals that they still practice, and his tribe definitely does, especially like death rituals and stuff. So it's kind of like a strange family reunion when someone dies. Though it's more of a celebration, like a year later. Am I doing this right, John?
Yeah. In our tribe, it's we have their funeral 1 year, and then a year later we have just for the year. A year later we have a memorial for that person, and we do it on both sides of my mom and dad's family. Because on my mom's side she's Yakima and Nez person. On my dad's side he's Grovant and Assiniboine. I believe Grovant is a Montana-based tribe, and Assiniboine is on the brink of Canada and Montana. And then, of course, Yakima and Nez Perce are primarily up here.
John, back to the so when do you start getting these monthly checks? Like when you're 18 or something like that from the tribe, or like how does it work?
Okay, that's actually what I was explaining until my mic cut out. Is that as long as I believe it's your have half blood and you're enrolled, once you turn 18, you get a monthly check every single month for life, basically.
Okay. Well, I think the most important thing here is the for life part, not the amount. Even if the amount was like $50 a month, which is like pretty pathetic, at least it's like a little supplement, something that like if back in the day if you had a savings account with a good rate, it would just multiply, or you can like throw that money in an investment if you felt like it here and there or something like that. It's just something to play with. I think the important thing is its perpetuity. The amount like can always be argued, but the for life perpetuity part is the most important, because like the scariest thing about this kind of crap is that the kind of welfare that we have, it's like it can be cut off at any time for any circumstance for like any reason, and then zero will never do anything for anyone.
Yeah.
So that's the part that I like.
Even $50 a month could be actually like crucial to somebody's ability to get by. $50 a month could be a cell phone plan, allowing somebody who doesn't have a home access to the internet, job listings they wouldn't otherwise get, contact with family and friends they might otherwise lose. It can be really pivotal.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like Faye was saying, is like it's helped us out in the past. I mean, we've had. I mean, it's a really stressful time when you have, you're low on funds and then you have to wait for it to come into the mail, and then as soon as it gets in the mail, it's like, all right, well, let's go get some food, let's go get some groceries, let's put some gas in the tank. It's like, we can actually kind of do some stuff and then save this until we get paid.
We almost did that consistently. Like it was like the first thing we bought was like something to eat that wasn't like trash. Well, I mean, maybe it was trash. I don't know.
So here's the ridiculous part. Like, how many of these people who get this monthly stipend are just like, oh, I'm just gonna live off of it and never work again? Probably hard. That probably hardly happens. Like.
Well, John, talk about your family. How do they spend the stimulus? Do you know, or your monthly check, or
per cap?
Yeah, per cap. That's what it's called.
Well, for me, what I do with it is I use some of it, at least half of it, to pay some of the bills, and the last half of it I use just kind of as a entertainment type of fund. Like I'll go and I'll buy like new shirts. I'll go and buy something for like my cat. But what my sister uses it for is that she keeps it and she uses it for groceries, gas money, because she does a lot for the county that Faye and I grew up in. So she'll go and she'll like cat sit for somebody. She'll go help out somebody with something else. So for her, it seems like it helps her help everybody else, which is nice. And then for I don't know what it does for my oldest brother. We don't really talk very much since he works a lot. But my brother that lives like a town over, him and his wife, they use it for like kind of extracurricular activities.
There you go. Your brother works a lot, so that must be saying like oh, he didn't work like was he working at age 16 or 17?
From what I remember, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. So did he work less once those monthly checks started coming in? All right.
Actually, I don't.
I doubt it.
As far as I know, I don't believe so. But he was going to school around that time, actually.
Right. But it didn't stop him from whatever. He didn't say, I'm not going to go to school. I'm set for life. I don't need a like an educate you know. So it's really like all these like stereotypes and stuff are just so dumb, because I know if I'd be getting a monthly payment of like, the more the money, the more I want to work. It's like the more I get in this monthly stimulus, the more I'd want to add to it. But when you're getting nothing, it's like, what's the use? I'm never gonna make it. You know?
Yeah.
So,
Actually,
so
I did a car parade with Faye a few months back at the beginning of the summer, and I actually still have all of the writing and stuff on my windows. When I go to
For
work,
UBI, by the way.
yeah,
Car
for
parade
UBS,
for-
right?
yeah.
nice.
But I've had coworkers actually. They come up to my car and they ask me, it's like, what's UBI? And I actually, after a while, I started actually just going through, and my explanation got longer. They're like, well, what's UBI stand for? I was like, oh, it's Universal Basic Income. It's a principle that Andrew Yang wanted to do, and it's $1,000 a month for life. And a lot of them were like, "Oh, that's amazing!" It's like, "I would love that." I was like, "Yeah." I told them, I was like, I did the math, and I'm doing a car payment for it that I'm supposed to be signed up for 7 years. And I told them, it's like, if I got that $1,000 a month and doing the math, I would be able to pay that car off in a year.
The other thing John does when he gets money with his just like paycheck and this extra, I mean, sometimes I've had certain individuals that I've found that need help, and he's actively donated money to many different causes. I mean, John is the reason we have a website right now. He donated money so we have a website. But it's not just it's not just that, but like there was a girl, we used to have this van, and I met this traveler, and John and I had this van that he wasn't using because he got his new car, and he pretty much helps her with it. Now she has the van. I think it might have broke down. I don't know what happened with that.
I mean, like, the way I see it, John, is like, if we could have just like printed out like billions of dollars for the airlines and cruise ships, that I'm sure they didn't earn that money, and I'm sure all the banks that got bailed out didn't work for that money either. So just give it to the people.
I mean, so far that's what I've been doing. That's what I did with this last check, or this last grant check that we got, along with the other one when I was on my trip. Is that like she said, I basically gave my van away to help somebody. She was really grateful for it when I met her. To the point, I didn't know her, and when COVID started, she's like she was on the brink of like crying, and she gave me a hug. She came here with her mom, and I was like, "Yeah, it's yours. Go for it." Her dog immediately jumped in, and then she drove off with it. And I've helped Faye with like payments and everything. Actually, I just sent her some for like a storage payment that she needed, and I don't know. It's just with the extra money, I felt like I wanted to help more than actually like, oh, I know I can spend this on myself, but I know
Right,
there's
yeah.
other people who want to
It's like
do something.
you're your own economy stimulator right there. You are, instead of going from top down, it just stays stuck at the top. But you're the thing where it's going to the bottom, and it's helping like the local community more than a stupid bank bailout, you know?
Yeah. So
And
far
it's meeting direct needs too, you know.
yeah. So far it's
Right,
the
right.
checks
Top
have
down
helped.
is a convoluted mess. It's a stupid, idiotic, convoluted mess when they do top down. Bottom up is like much more streamlined, instead of this bureaucratic nightmare shit show that they do from top down. I use strong language, but like, people are using it.
No, you're good.
So the other thing John experiences a lot is racism due to his skin color being a little darker, and also a lot of people think he's Mexican, and Like, would you like to talk about the different kinds of racism you and your family have experienced, if you're open to that?
Oh, that's the thing I was trying to think of, is the fact that with the racism part, the last real main thing I found or actually experienced was back when I was a kid. I believe I was like in kindergarten or first grade, and the town I grew up in is really country, rural based. So, but I was on like a jungle gym or something, and then this other kid popped up on the other side, asked me what I was. He's like, "Oh, what are you?" I was like, "Oh, I'm Native American," and just straight face, just looked at me, and he's like, "Oh, my family kills Native Americans." First time I ever experienced any type of racism towards me was when I was roughly about 5 or 6. Ever since then, I was kind of just brought up as, just, don't give in to that. Don't be spiteful towards people. That's how I was raised. I mean, yeah, when I grew up, I, did some joking type of racism stuff towards myself, because it was just kind of like, oh, well, if I'm not gonna combat it. I'm just gonna kind of go with it, so people know I'm not too aggressive when racism happens. But when I started working in Portland, though, however, it's just, especially with everything going on, I've actually feared for myself because of being a person of color. Um, when we had the Proud Boys actually out here, there's a coworker of mine who's African American who lived in the area where that was happening, and his coworker actually asked him, it's like, "Hey, it's like, this is happening in your area. It's like, where do you live?" And he's like, why do you ask?" He's like, "I don't want you riding the public transit." He's like, "I'm going to pick you up, bring you to work, and I'm driving you back." It's like, "I don't want you to experience that. I don't want you to be a part of that." So, and like Faye said, I do get confused with being Hispanic. There have been times that I've had, especially down in like San Diego and stuff, I've had people speak Spanish to me, and I have to kind of do that awkward, like, "Oh, I'm Native American." "Oh, okay." And then they'll start speaking English to me. Actually, an ex of mine,
Funny.
I primarily get it at Walmart, but ex of mine was fluent in sign language. So how I kind of combated that a few times at Walmart was where someone would say like, "Hola," "Mi amo es something." I would just stare blankly. I stared blankly at them, and I would sign, "My name is John." And then the look they would give of just like, "Oh," and then they'd walk away.
It's kind of
And
like
for
a
me,
reversal of like, this is what you're doing to me. You know that awkward feeling of not knowing? No, that's what you're feeling.
which is why I know that like basic ASL sign language is just the fact that I can do that. And then there's and same thing with I have a coworker who speaks Arabic, and it's the same thing. He doesn't confuse me for being Middle Eastern, but it's just he just does it on the fly sometimes, and that's the communication that we had when I first started there. Is that I would start signing to him, and then he would still give that look of like, "I don't know what you're saying." I was like, "Yeah, that's how I feel because I don't know how to speak Arabic." I was like, "And you don't know sign language, so now we understand but don't understand each other in like a mutual way." So
It's kind of like you're letting them experience like a mirror, that they might not have even considered. But I think the reason people try to speak native language to somebody who looks similar to them or whatever, is you want that bonding experience of like, oh, my people. If you go to like Australia and you find an American, you're probably going to bond with that person because they're also an American, and so they kind of maybe just assume that about you, and you're like, stop assuming.
I mean, it's one thing why I miss like having my long hair, because that back then it was very long, so people wouldn't actually say like, "Oh, you're Hispanic." It's like, "Oh, you're Native American," which is odd considering it's hair, but I know in our culture, hair is our thing. Hair is a thing for us. It's a part of us it's a part of us. So when you cut it off, it's I guess it goes back to when the U.S. was first colonized, and the people from Europe had to forcefully cut Native Americans' hair. So it's like, well, like my length now, and it's oppression, I
So,
guess.
so John, is it a stereotype, or do Native Americans actually have songs or like, hey, like they do that stuff?
They do, I would say, not to that extent, but they do have, they do.
Okay.
We do have songs and everything. It's been a long time since I've been actually to a powwow, but my oldest brother, has been part of drum circles and everything. And for me, I've actually seen one in downtown Portland. That every time I hear that music now, I get overwhelmed with joy, because it's not so often that you actually hear something like that, especially in like a cityscape where you actually hear a drum and then you hear people like singing and being loud. And
Well,
I
they
don't know.
also do it during their ceremonies too, and so but there's like a little dance that comes with it, even just within death, their celebration of dancing. It's a beautiful thing. See, I'm half Native. I'm Chippewa, and so sometimes I've been to like powwows on my side of the family, and so I feel like they're a little different. I don't know, but like uh there's special dances, where maybe the equivalent would be a Sadie Hawkins dance, but it's just like the girl asks the guy to dance or whatever, like so there's all these cute little traditions that get to be carried on within a family network. And I feel like Americans don't necessarily have as many celebrations like this unless maybe you're religious, where you have like reasons you gather and stuff. And I could be wrong, but I don't know. It feels more connected when you experience these kind of things with your family.
I think like for me growing up Persian, I think like there's some healthy balance, because like I see like my family is like they're just like too much. It used to be like every single Friday, and then it would just drive me crazy. It would be like, okay, like enough, I can't. But then on the other side, there's like American families that like they live in different states. It's like, oh, one brother lives in like Arizona, the other one lives in like New York, and then this one lives in Montana, and it's like they hardly come together. I think like I'm happier when it's like maybe like once or twice a month, not every week, that like we come together. Like I appreciate it more, not like every week where we used to do. So I think there's some kind of middle ground between like having it like too much and having it like never,
Well, think about it though. A lot of people immigrated from their own countries to here, and we got like kind of a melting pot of different cultures, right? But America doesn't necessarily have their own culture compared to Native Americans, or there are all these individual like
I mean,
rituals, if you will.
I saw a documentary on like transportation in the United States, and the car companies wanted everybody to drive. So like what kind of culture is the suburbs? You know what I mean? Where you're not even like talking to your neighbor. Some of these people don't even know who their neighbors are for years on end, and like they're all living in their own little bubbles. So it's like they what do you come? You come to be cultureless? Like that's not a culture. That's just like I don't know anyone here, and I'm just like going to like it's just like a little family of like a dad, a mom, and like two kids, and it's like we don't have like there's no community in the suburbs, or at least I don't really think there is, because you're not talking to your neighbors. So
Yeah.
I think that's why we need to really develop community centers where the community is the one that builds it, so that they have that bonding experience that you might even find out at festival. Like you might build something together and you have that bonding,
Yeah.
but like why aren't we doing that in our own communities?
It's so funny. Like everybody talks about the American dream as like home ownership. It's like I've already lived that, and I didn't like it at all because it was so isolating. It's like that is not my dream. That's not my dream. No, I'm sorry. It's not.
Hey, Tristan's having a bit of a rough time. I'm going to ditch out about half an hour early here today. Sorry, guys.
That's fine.
Would you like to share your social media before you go?
Yeah, at Mia Songbird on Twitter, Mia Songbird on Frey.world. I do Humanity Hangs Tuesdays and Fridays. Those are generally in the evenings. And show up if you want to. It's fun. We hang out. We talk. Everybody is pretty much yang gang. It's great. Okay.
Thank you, Mia.
Yep. You guys have a good
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
I mean, my dream was really like just living in like a really good community. I always wanted to live on like a top floor of like a penthouse and just like travel, just get to travel. It had nothing to do with like a house and a white picket fence and having a car and 2 kids at all. Zero.
Well, that was like the idea that got implanted in us, right? Like the secular family.
Dumb idea. Yeah.
But
Just
but
for-
see,
That's supposed to be the pinnacle of success in your life.
that's one template that might work
For
for
me.
one person, right? But it doesn't work for everybody else.
Yeah.
And is
I mean, like,
is it fulfilling?
I've had it. It wasn't fulfilling at all. I didn't really care for it. It was very dull and not exciting, and like I want to like go on adventures and like meet interesting people. I don't want to like wall myself off in some boring house in the middle of nowhere where I don't even know my neighbors. Sorry.
I mean, that's what I wanted to do. I mean, that's what I still want to do. Is I want to get someplace like I can actually comfortably live, but still be able to, like, oh, I'm going to go take a trip down somewhere else for a while, and then actually be able to come back somewhere that's not
That's
overwhelming.
freedom, and that comes with having the money to afford the travel and afford the expenses and the lodging and stuff like that. Because when you don't have that, it's like they take away your freedom of movement financially, and that's not cool.
Yeah.
Well, think about it though. Like if that's the case, and I feel like it is for a lot of people. I mean, rich people can pull it off. There's called snowbirds though, right? But I mean, for me, when I'm traveling as a nomad, I still need a storage facility, right? And so kind of like what you guys are talking about is a bigger version of a storage facility where you can put all your treasures, if you will. Like if you're a dragon and all your treasure is in one place, but you can fly and then come back, right?
Yeah, without having to worry about where's this stuff going, because worrying is the part that sucks the most. Because when I would travel to hostels, I wouldn't worry because all my stuff was in the hostel storage and stuff. But now with COVID, most of the hostels are closed. But I heard that hotels are really cheap right now. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think hotels, and when I went on my trip, we got Airbnbs, and those ones were actually relatively cheap, and they're great depending on the host and everything.
But
I think
I think Airbnb is a beautiful invention where it allows people to be those like free birds that they want to be, but they have a nest back home they call their own. But you can see into what other people have designed. You can flavor different houses, maybe get inspired, or maybe you get to test out a region if it's something that's compatible for you. It's almost like finding your real home is, I think, kind of a pilgrimage we should really consider as a human species.
right. So I mean, I enjoyed like experiencing all those different Airbnbs on the trip on my trip, just because they range from different sizes, different amenities, different pricing, different areas you can explore. So for me, it was very intriguing to see, especially with like the different hosts and everything, because some of them were active, so some of them would be like, "Hey, do you need anything? Hey, what's going on? How's the room treating you?" And then there'd be some that would just kind of like wouldn't notify you until like after you checked out. It's like, "Oh, well, thanks for staying." It's like, "All right, cool." So
Yeah, and I think like a major reason why I'm playing a lot more video games is because if I had the UBI, I'd probably be playing a lot less video games and be doing a lot more traveling. I mean, with a video game, you just kind of buy it once, you keep it. It has a lot of replay value, but getting around is way more expensive. But at the same time, it's more enriching, and through sometimes my exploring, like I tend to find a job or stuff like that. So if you want people to be more productive, put the money directly into their hands so they can do more. I mean, like, wow.
Well, think about it. If you had the resources, you essentially step through the lens of your video game and you get to walk into a reality that isn't just 2D or 3D. It's reality, and you live it and you breathe it, you hear it, right? You've just walked into your own movie and you can write the script, and it's so much more powerful and exhilarating than any video game you have, right?
Right.
We just have a bigger map we can explore.
Right. But what opens up that map is having the resources and not being tied down to work. I mean, there's nothing wrong with work. There's some work that I love. I mean, I love my job at Best Buy, but I mean, there's something wrong with something tying you down and being your only source of like sustenance or anything like that. That's slavery.
Well, okay, there's work in everything we do, right? But we don't put money to everything we do. So, that doesn't seem to be effective because we are putting things out into the world, but not being reimbursed, except for maybe through karma.
Right. Yeah. It's really, I mean, it pisses me off that like, is it, and some people like internalize that like not thinking they're doing anything of value. Like my mother, she took care of my grandparents until the day they passed away, literally, my grandma and grandpa. And like I kind of felt a little bit neglected for it. But then when my mother said, she's like, oh, my like I'm being allowed to live in that home, and like I don't really deserve them being this nice to me. That's why that I help out and I do all this stuff. And I'm like, no, you do deserve it. There you have 3 brothers and 3 sisters, and you're the one taking care of your parents. You deserve all this money that's coming to you. She always felt like guilty that she was being supported because she thought she wasn't really like working or doing anything. You're taking care of your parents, and you're living with them when you have 3 brothers and 3 sisters that are out doing their own thing. God damn it. Yeah, it really pissed me off. That's over now.
Yeah.
How are we doing on time? We have about like 18 more minutes.
I think we covered a lot of ground. I think we just kind of like said that it's not human nature, even when you are getting money, to just become a lazy couch potato. I think we've established that.
The work changes. That's all that happens. It's not, your resources change. Access to technology that you need, you can upgrade. Like the next bit of money that I'm getting, I'm going to put towards, stuff that's helpful for, becoming more viral for people to have access to, some of the concepts I've come up with and or discussed with you guys and that I learned, right? So I can become kind of a pseudo educator. We all are, if you're really thinking about it, about what's actually happening in our country on a human level. And this is adding a significant amount of value to the world. It's just not being picked up by anybody because we don't have the monetary, we don't have money to like get the right kind of advertising. And unless we're spending the time learning how to advertise and become successful, it's not until then we can pull it off. But, you still might need money to rent out a broadcasting station or something, if that's, where you're trying to go.
Well, yeah, like well, it ties into like freedom of speech but what good is speech if no one's listening, if you can't really get anyone to listen? And so if money is speech, then we deserve to be getting it, to use it as speech.
Yeah.
So speech should be provided to us in the form of money, because these days money really is a voice. Like, companies always use money to like advertise and like let people know about them and like pay off all of these influencers. So we're really being silenced when we don't have money. Like, your voice is being, because who's going to listen to a person who's struggling financially?
But think about what
know.
our advertising is geared towards. It's geared towards that inner human, like, desire for the 7 deadly sins, if you will. Like, like, that's the model advertisers have to use in order to get your attention. And
Right.
it's only producing toxic results. So
Right.
I had this thought earlier when I saw this advertisement, right? And it was just like, it might not even be the intention of this advertisement, but this is where my brain took it. So it was a woman trying on a bra that pushes her boobs up, right? And like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, a woman might enjoy that support, but the cleavage is not for her. It's to attract somebody else, right? And usually, or maybe you just feel more confident, right? Maybe you feel more confident. But I mean, we're just getting away from a culture of like Jeffrey Epstein and sex trafficking. And like, maybe we need to get away from like promoting sexual signals to the world, and maybe reeling it in so we can work on our mental health. But when you sell something that is targeted towards attracting the opposite sex, when everybody's got mental health problems, that's not necessarily going to long term help you, even if you're trying to get a partner.
I think what's really trickling down is just the mental illnesses of our leadership and their corruption. That's all. That's all that's been trickling down. Just these corrupt, mentally ill senior citizens and their bad ideas, making everybody like stressed and anxious and going crazy and worrying. Like we gotta Trump said drain the swamp, but he's just managed to put more sewer water in it. I think Yang would have really drained it. I mean, yeah. Like, the only thing we're having is trickle down corruption from like the corruption at the top, just seeping its way all the way to the bottom.
But now we have people injecting themselves in different areas that they are actually going to learn how to be like, we have people with better intentions trying to get into politics, is what I'm trying to get
That's good.
at. But at all levels, Andrew Yang is, wanting to work with Biden. Biden has, connections not only in our country, but other countries, right? And he's lived, a life where he, served with Obama, okay? And so he has some knowledge, and he could be a mentor to Andrew Yang. And Andrew Yang might not agree with everything Biden does, says, or whatever, but his value system is going to filtrate everything he's doing and translate it to more reasonable things that are in alignment with his own values. And us as the Yang Gang, we trust Andrew Yang's values for the most part. We might not understand him working with somebody that, some people have a big problem with. I mean, I have problems with Biden. He's got the for-profit prison system. But, like,
one step at a time,
But Yang can observe and learn by observation, by being so close to somebody. I call it absorbing a person, and it sounds weird, but like, you, by just being in their presence, you pick up very nuanced behaviors and decisions they make, such as like, oh, why did they do that? Oh, it might be for this. And it might not have ever entered their awareness to even think that by watching YouTube videos,
Right.
And so by having this mentorship, even just like running, like, helping him out on his campaign, he's getting the experience we need a leader to have. I don't think Andrew Yang necessarily
Well, I mean, think about it. Andrew Yang was like a total nobody like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. From like total nobody, he's went into like superstar status. So like in the next 2 years, four, damn, like he's
But
gonna make his way up there. You know?
when you're watching somebody like live their life, there's certain behaviors that you'll be like, ugh, right? But that just created an aversion in your own body, right? Not and then other ones that are behaviors that you translate to your own value systems, like I like that. I don't like how you're doing it, but I like that idea. I'm gonna steal that, right?
I really think like Andrew Yang is like this Aladdin diamond in the rough character. he's just like so pure and like and stuff, but then there are all these like Jafars in like our political system that are they just want to like get that snake looking thing and like hypnotize people into following them. So
Aladdin is an interesting comparison. Sorry, John, what did you say?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I thought I heard someone. Never
I
mind.
think you're just laughing at my little thing. Yeah, but it's fun. But yeah, but it's very funny because like people but sometimes with like pure people, like corrupt people always want to like make false accusations against them and like project their own corruptness and like onto the people who are pure. Like, it happens all the time.
Well, I mean, think about her dad, right? The king. And he was very gullible, right? And manipulatable. And you could see that as kind of some of our politicians too. But see, he didn't necessarily like he could have had autism, okay? Who knows? There's mental health issues there. But then you got Jafar, who has other mental health issues, a big ego, if you will. And like wants to get things his way, so he's learning manipulative tactics and using them in order to get what he wants.
Well, yeah, like these are all like we always look at like the president or like a senator or congressman, but it's like no, who's whispering in their ear? That's who we really have to know about. It's not them.
So that's Banks with Trump right now, right? He's in a lot of debt. Who does he owe that debt to? What are they trying to make him do?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this is something we should at least consider. I could be wrong.
Like who's really pulling the strings? Because everybody goes crazy when you mention the word Trump, but it's like, stop. Like let's take a look back and just say like, but who's controlling Trump? I know that's crazy because people just think he's controlling himself and a loose cannon. But how do we know that?
It's true.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe so some men are very driven in what they do to appease a woman, right? I saw this I forget, maybe it was Dirty Money, but this man kept getting a lot of money, and I think he was a politician, I could be wrong, but like so that his wife could buy purses and have a big house, right? And his corruption is being fueled by trying to win the love of a woman.
And it's funny, like we mentioned like Jafar and Aladdin, and like Trump's giving all this like weapon systems to Saudi Arabia and like jets. So it's like Saudi Arabia is like the Jafar and Trump is like the Sultan.
It's an interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like now I need to go and watch Aladdin though.
Yeah, it's
John actually dressed as Aladdin and looked just like him. It was beautiful.
That's funny. Yeah, relevant. But that's so. But yeah, like there's so much like different manipulations and controls going on behind the scenes, but we never see that in like the theater. That's politics when like people are getting riled up and shit. like because of all the groupthink. But when we make our way past the groupthink, we like things just become so clear and so much less polarized. Yeah.
I mean, the groupthink happens as a great example on Among Us. I'm just saying, like, just watch someone else play if you've never played, find videos online. But like,
Yeah.
there's so much manipulation that you even have to employ to stay safe if you're the imposter, right? And like, you might not even want to be the imposter. It was just thrust upon you, right? And so maybe you feel bad about lying, and so maybe you're silent, but that makes you suspect, right? I don't know.
but
Why are people thinking I'm so suspect?
I think it's so fun to like introduce yourselves to like new communities and new groups of people and like find out the things that you have in common and how you relate to each other. I mean
Totally.
that's what makes it so great. That's why I loved all my travels, because I mean, while I was traveling, it was funny. I was like in New Zealand. I was like off on an island off of the coast of New Zealand, and I met like two girls there that were speaking Persian, and I spoke Persian with them. So it's like no matter how far off the globe I go into like a tiny little corner, it's still like home because I found these Persians speaking Persian. It was really cool. Yeah.
I mean, I brought up something very similar to that, right? I used, I think, Australia but Persians while you're in New Zealand. Like, that's the thing, but when you go to different countries, you might get culture shock, right? You don't understand the language, and maybe you don't understand customs. Maybe people are trying to rip you off, and you just like are so oblivious to it, right? You don't know the rules of
Right.
But maybe there's so much corruption, it's actually created like this prey versus predator kind of scenario.
Right.
I was just hearing about this. Okay, so in Kenya, they have really corrupt politicians, right? And then they just had that massive disaster that the flooding and stuff, right? But now the village can't really eat, and so they had to do some hunting of an animal. I don't even think it's legal to hunt, okay? But they needed food, right? And so their tribe was able to eat because of like hunting, but like but then you have laws against this kind of stuff, or maybe they don't. I don't know. But like then the people who are taking all the money could come after them and get like find them or throw them in jail that they were like pressured into doing because they needed to feed themselves. It's just,
Wow.
yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. I just think like power has to come from like local communities upward to like whatever the main thing is there. Any other way is just gonna be rife with like all these backroom deals and lies and bribes and backstabbings that
Well, they get the relief funds to the governor here.
Right.
And then that governor never divvies out that money, and they just keep it and live happy, right?
Well, that's what they say, that what like international aid is, taking money away from poor people in rich countries to give to rich people in poor countries.
Or even give them like not the recommended amount or the amount that they're supposed to get.
Right, yeah.
They're dependent on that money aid that does come in because it's been like, held captive by the rich guy, like, oh, here's your crumbs. But wait, that's us too.
but I really think like when I was there, I think it's a wonderful thing that in English has been like a language that everyone can speak all over the world, because then it's like you never kind of feel alone, or you never really kind of feel like no one can understand you, and it's like it's nice to like go somewhere with an English speaking population that's less corrupt, and I really see that as what like Canada and New Zealand and Australia are. It's just I don't know why.
So much nuance to language, especially English. There's so much nuance. You might learn a dictionary version of it, but you should probably pull out your urban dictionary too.
Right. Yeah. It's pretty fun. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have the thing. It's funny with Erica. Maybe I'll discuss some, but like in another hour. It's gonna be cool.
That's exciting. You're doing that.
Yeah, but she's getting it in 2022. So dang, that's like a long time from now. So
Yeah, I'm glad
but
that
if
she's
she,
laying the groundwork now. You know, it really takes
yeah,
that long. Yeah, and tell her I said hi for sure.
for
She's one
sure.
of my favorite Humanity Forward candidates. She's one of my like the
Oh yeah,
top 3 to watch.
she
She's way
has
up
so
there.
much like positive energy
She's got
that
a big
like
heart, that's for sure. Like her
yeah.
energy is for the people. She sees the pain and you can feel her pain while she's like witnessing it, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This is really really interesting. But eventually we're gonna need like a real firebrand to come in there and kind of like do something. Everybody plays their role,
What do you
and I
mean by firebrand? What does that even mean?
we just need someone who can like rile people up, but in a good way. Like not in like a Hitler way, but in like a Martin Luther King way.
I
I
try to
could.
give off that vibe sometimes.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, that's
What
Are
anyway.
about
you insinuating that Erica is not combative enough?
Well, I'm insinuating that like I think David Kim was kind of like that when he gave that speech for all like Jimmy Gomez's house.
that
But
was a
like
powerful speech, man.
yeah. So we need more people to like because like as much as we try to say like, oh no, it's not humanity first. Oh no, we can't. I mean, Donald Trump just did that the whole way through, just the entire way through. But he did it in bad faith. We just need someone to come in and do it in good faith. Yeah.
I think it's not just going to be one person, right? We need to set off lots of little bombs to like start moving
Yeah.
the planet again.
Well,
What is that
well,
movie,
well
The Core? Like where they had to like
well, like
hit different areas?
everybody needs to like wear these different hats and have these different roles. Like this person's the healer, this person's the like attacker, this
Type.
guy's like intelligence gathering, this guy is like the spy. Like we're gonna need like all these different kind of like things, and then once we like all combine these like we're gonna be unstoppable if we have like methods that we can experiment, and if they work and we can like organize, like there's no telling how far we can go. Yeah.
Yeah, we have like this roster of people we need to hire, and then we need to like make sure they know their job duties and how the interactions should play out. But there is none, right? There's a social structure that needs to exist so that people don't comprehend, and because they don't comprehend it, they don't know where they fit in,
Right.
and
Yeah.
that it's a complicated mess.
I mean if you have good intentions but your methods don't work, then you're not being helpful, you
But then
know
you need to learn how to find your mentor so you can be helpful, right?
right. Or you need to know, you need to study the way like the system you're trying to change works, and not
But
try to
like on a
just
personal level though, like if you're gonna just go look at a book, that book might be inaccurate. Think about history books. That was a lot of propaganda, right? And so like you gotta find your source with your own eyes, I think, at this
yeah.
point.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
anyway, it's like 103, so.
yeah, let's wrap it up. So I don't know.
Oh, you're doing a great job. Just keep it up, Faye. Why don't you just keep being the master of ceremonies here, and I'll come back tonight for Among Us, 7 to 10 Eastern on Twitch.
Okay. That
Nice.
sounds amazing. Okay, so I'm Faye Doney, and my Twitter is Tisdoney, Tisdoney. My Venmo is Art by Doney, ARTBYDONEY. I'm trying to get some money to so I can get video camera equipment. Documentary. I can use all the help I can get, guys. Yeah, let's pass it to John. You want to give your any handles contact you or?
Sure. Well, I'm John Lamble. I have an Instagram at it's at Lamble. That's LAMEBULL. And I do have a Twitter. Actually, it's same thing at Lamble. That's pretty much it. The only two handles I have.
To game a lot, so you can invite him to games.
That's
Well,
true.
we're going to play Among Us tonight, 7 to 10 on twitch.tv/yanggang Roundtable. You're welcome to join us.
Actually, I messed up on my Instagram handle. It's actually J_Lamble. All lowercase. Sorry.
Good.
Yeah.
Ariel, you want to give yours?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Ariels, and youtube.com/revolutionary thinking. Come and check it out. I have my interview with Paget Kagi on there, my talk with CoffeeZilla, and I'm about to have my interview with Erica Rhodes and post it up. So lots of fun, exciting things happening.
Ariel, do you have your own Discord channel?
Do I have? I did. I made one a while ago. It's called Ariel's Philosophy World. So
okay, because I think what you need to do is put all your interviews from all these different platforms in one place for us to find it, so we could just have a profile of all your videos. Because that would be cool. Because I
give
feel
you
like
a channel on our Discord too, if you want. Alternatively, I don't know if that's more appealing to you.
What?
We could just give you a channel on our Discord at the Yanggang Roundtable if you would
Yeah,
prefer
yeah,
as an
that would be
option.
good.
I mean,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
if you
Everybody.
want, yeah, okay, we'll do that then. You mean like why spread it over a whole new server, right? Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah, I'll do that later.
Yeah.
All right,
cool.
Shale, you want to take us out?
Yeah, my Twitter is SHAEL. That's SHAELRILEY. My name is Shale Riley. Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time and attention. Stay strong out there. We've got to survive until they give us money. So just keep it up.
And thank you, John, for coming on and sharing.
Thank you so much, John. Yes. Thank you so much. You've been a wonderful guest.
And you can come back. This doesn't have to be your only podcast.
Yeah, you're always welcome. Guests are always welcome to come back. Sometimes people come once and then they just informally just become a regular. And that's so you're more than welcome. Really enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah, it was nice talking to all of you. And like I said, thank you for having me on the show. More than likely, I will probably come back.
Awesome.
I enjoyed this.
Great. We got to stay in touch. All right. So goodbye for now, everybody. Stop the stream.